Welcome, I'm Jeff, this is Whiskey, let's crack on. Today I'm reviewing the Dartmoor Whisky Ex-Bourbon Cask. This is a 3-year-old English whisky produced at Dartmoor Distillery. It's on the edge of Dartmoor National Park. It's the first distillery I visited, and being very proudly from Devon, I had to get a bottle of the first Devonshire whisky. So let's talk about this. The distillery is based in the small town of Bovey Tracy, and they have a cognac copper still which they brought back themselves from France. The branding side is all very smart, very clean, very minimal. They've got the gold etch Dartmoor pony as their emblem, and then you've got clear stickers, or is that etched on, or just information about the bottle. As you can tell by the light, the very pale white wine colour, it's got no colouring added to it, and all the components that have gone into this are sourced locally, including the Dartmoor spring water that they've used inside this bottle. So it's hitting all the right notes for a good modern whisky. The final test for the experience is, I've been told in the comments that you like the fact that I'm a slapper, so for your amusement this bottle does need a little old slappity slap, so here goes. That's a good hearty Devonshire slap, and for that it gets a good hearty Devonshire 6 out of 6. So the next step, let's give this a good old sniff. Let's see how it does on the nose. Straight away there's toffee popcorn, marshmallow sweetness, slightly new makey, so kind of like spirity, nail polish slightly tied in there. Makes almost Parma Violet smelling. Kind of just that mixture of sweetness and spirit. There also is this strange little funky tang, earthy note. Maybe it's boiled veg, or like boiled potatoes.
Potatoes! Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
It's got that kind of earthy, musty, mossy, another word ending in E, tang, funk note to it, which is not what I expected to get from my ex-bourbon cask. It's certainly pleasant. There's definitely like a veggie note in there. Maybe it's like a soylent green?
Silent green is people!
No, like a earthy tang. So overall it's going to get a fairly good score of 4 out of 6. So let's crack on with the taste. Cheers! Straight away the texture is very creamy, very oily, super smooth, buttery, and it's like a really good base flavours.
Biscuit base. I like the buttery biscuit base.
It's, yeah, lots of biscuit, lots of malt, so I'm thinking rich teas, digestives, maybe even hobnobs, that kind of hearty oat baked biscuit.
I got my lovely crunchy biscuits. Hell, I'm gonna say it again in case you missed it.
The more bourbon casks finish is coming out, so you've got the toffee, vanilla, stale marshmallows, and that's kind of all doused in honey, giving it this really, really oily, really dense, slightly chewy, but that finish is coming through now, and that's more peppery. So it's kind of, there's been no real spice throughout until the finish, and it's got that, I don't know, oaky spice, I guess. It's not necessarily like baking spices. Maybe it's cinnamon. Unfortunately, the finish is a little short. Even with the oily, thick texture, it doesn't necessarily coat the mouth enough for the finish to last. But it is a very strong palate, and for that, it's getting another 4 out of 6 Jeffs. So we've done the bottle. Now let's go into the pocket. What's the value for money for this whiskey? This is from a new distillery, so the price is always going to be higher, especially on their first releases, and they are producing these as small batches. It's a steep price at £60, but that is the standard for like first releases and kind of when it's at a distillery of this size. It's easy to compare that price with other whiskies you can buy for the same price, and it does start to struggle, so I think it's only fair it gets 3 out of 6 Jeffs. That brings the total of the Dartmoor Bourbon Cask to 17 out of 24 Jeffs. It's definitely not bad at all, and if you're down Dartmoor way, I would certainly recommend booking on their tour. It's a good bottle, it's a very fascinating distillery, and it is one that I would recommend you try. I'd love to know if you tried this English whiskey, and if you have enjoyed my ramblings, pop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. This really helps me out, and most importantly, stay safe, all the best, and cheers to the next one. Nice.